Assalamu alaikum. A very good morning, everyone. Honorable Chief Guest, distinguished special guest, respected session chair, esteemed keynote speaker, lead discussant, distinguished diplomats, policymakers, academics, researchers, media representatives, colleagues, students, and invited guests. Welcome to today's seminar on Bangladesh-China relations, enhanced trust and new directions. We have with us as a chief guest, Dr. Rashed Al Mahmud Titumir, Honorable Advisor with the status of Ministry of Finance and Planning of Prime Minister Office, Government of Bangladesh. We have two special guests. One is our Foreign Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Mr. Asad Alom Siam. We are also expecting to have the Chinese ambassador, Mr. Yao Wen, to join, but because of some emergency meeting, he will be represented by his second man, Mr. Li Xiaopeng, who will be joining very soon. Other than that, we are going to have a good number of Chinese scholars who have been already joined online, and they will also be contributing in today's discussion. Before I go to the topic of the discussion and also the modality, let me please give a brief description of the South Asian Institute of Policy and Governance. And this institute is one and only pioneering institute with a regional focus on policy and governance in Bangladesh. And its vision is to become a leading academic institute and a think tank on policy and governance in South Asia. SIPG runs two master's programs. One is international master's, which is called Masters in Public Policy and Governance, where we get the students from the public sector officials from Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bhutan. And also we have another executive master's in policy and governance. SIPG currently hosts two centers. One is called Center for Migration Studies, and the other one is China-South Asia Center for Sociocultural Studies. And with that China-South Asia Center, we have been doing quite a good number of research and study on South Asia-China relationship, not only Bangladesh-China. And one of the study that we have recently completed was on Bangladesh-China, India-Myanmar corridor, BCIM. And on the basis of that study, we proposed some policy advocacy notes to different level of Bangladesh and Chinese government, which will be reflected by our keynote speaker's speech. Now, if we come to the main program, we all know that Bangladesh-China share a long-standing relationship shaped by historical, cultural, economic, and diplomatic interactions. Over the years, this relationship has expanded into a broad and multidimensional partnership covering trade, investment, infrastructure, connectivity, technology, education, health, and development cooperation. The official visit of Prime Minister Tarique Rahman to China from June 2022 to 26 successfully elevated bilateral ties by upgrading their relationship to a China-Bangladesh community of shared future in the new era, which is making Bangladesh the second South Asian nation to adopt this framework. The four-day diplomatic trip, which included meeting with President Xi Jinping and attendance at the summer Davos in Dalian, concluded with a 16-point joint communique, 15 MOUs, and 2 agreements. Beyond cementing geopolitical trust, the visit secured approximately 300 million in Chinese grant assistance and opened new avenues for trade following the Prime Minister's pitch to over 80 corporate leaders at an Investment Bangladesh event. So today's seminar will therefore examine the opportunities, challenges, and future direction of Bangladesh-China relations. It will also explore issues including economic cooperation, regional connectivity, China's major global initiatives, instability in Myanmar, the Rohingya crisis, and the broader geopolitical environment. We hope that today's discussion will generate meaningful policy reflection and contribute to a balanced and development-oriented, mutually beneficial relationship between the two countries. I just want to show you one of the recent work that we have done. You can remember that last year when the interim government chief, Professor Yunus, visited China, Then also we had the same kind of discussion after that high-level visit, and we produced this SIPG policy brief on reassessing Sino-Bangla relations, the Chief Advisor's landmark visit. So if you are interested, you can get a copy of this policy brief outside this room on this display table. We'll now proceed with the keynote presentation, and it is my pleasure to invite my colleague, Mr. Mohammad Shobar Rahman, Senior Research Fellow, South Asian Institute of Policy and Governance of North-South University, to deliver the keynote presentation. Ambassador Shobar Rahman is a distinguished former Bangladeshi diplomat who most recently served as ambassador to Switzerland and permanent representative of Bangladesh to the UN offices and other international organizations in Geneva from October 22 to 24. During his career, he also served as Bangladesh's High Commissioner to Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and several South Pacific countries, Ambassador to Myanmar, and High Commissioner to Sri Lanka. So now I kindly invite Mr. Shobar Rahman to deliver the keynote presentation, and he will finish it by 20 minutes. Over to you, Ambassador Shobar.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, Honorable Advisor, Honorable Trustee of North-South University, respected Foreign Secretary, representative from the Chinese Embassy and other diplomatic missions, distinguished panel, discussants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, Shubh Shakal. I will be talking on this important aspect, but I will try to organize my thoughts in 4 blocks. The first block is to try to recap the major developments that took place during this important visit. Second, a little bit of analysis of what that entails to all of us, for Bangladesh, for China, and also for the region. And then focusing on the way forward as to how we should be thinking about the future. And then the concluding thoughts. We all know that for the last couple of decades, Bangladesh and China have been having wonderful trust and friendship. But in that, in 2016, when President Xi Jinping came to Bangladesh, that is certainly considered to be a foundation-laying event. And thereafter, after a decade, in 2026 now, Prime Minister Tarique Rahman has visited China. So now these 2 visits, particularly the recent one, is reflective of a much higher trust and confidence between the 2 countries to proceed in a particular direction. So let's have a recap of what happened during this visit. Most importantly, there was a decision to elevate the comprehensive strategic partnership to jointly build a China-Bangladesh community with a shared vision. This is a new concept that China has been promoting, and many countries are getting associated with this concept. Along with that, there are 4 other initiatives that China has been promoting for the last couple of years. Bangladesh has decided to support those series of global initiatives and express readiness to carry out cooperation, particularly under Global Development Initiative. But there has not been any clear indication as to what will happen to Global Security Initiative and Global Governance Initiative. The strategic dialogue between Bangladesh and China at the foreign ministers level has been agreed, but the 2 countries have decided to explore 2+2 dialogue in the realm of diplomacy and defense. We have also seen Chinese support to Bangladesh's participation in BRICS. Whether that means membership, we do not know, but the China is going to support Bangladesh on its application to becoming a member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now, in the economic domain, in the trade domain, a very important decision has been taken to increase there's Bangladesh's treatment in the Chinese market from 98% zero tariff treatment to 100%. This is very significant. If Bangladesh industry and the economy can align itself to this, that might open a lot of opportunities for Bangladesh. There has been a decision on to explore newer options for regional connectivity. We will have details of it little later. There has been also a broaching of an idea by the Chinese on the Bangladesh-China-Myanmar corridor, slightly different from this BCIM corridor that is also very important in this context of our bilateral collaboration as well as in the region. As far as the projects are concerned, there are two in the Mongla, one on Mongla Port Facilities Modernization and Expansion Project. A feasibility study will be done within 2 years, and then development of a Chinese economic industrial zone in Chattogram with a much bigger, I would say, landscape. This is important for us. As far as Bangladesh's interests are concerned, the people's interests are concerned, water is an important issue, and China has decided to be party to that. And they will take part in management, planning, hydrological forecasting, flood prevention, etc., to collaborate on these important areas with Bangladesh. And we expect a feasibility study on the Tista River comprehensive management and restoration project to be completed soon as possible. But there is some gap in understanding as to how this particular thing will evolve, whether it will be an irrigation project or it will be primarily a flood protection kind of a project. So that would need clarification. As far as other major decisions concerned, in one area, I think which is of primordial importance to China is on the UN GA Resolution 2758 of 1971. That actually accepted China as the sole legitimate representative of China, the Chinese government. And in a way that makes it very clear that Taiwan will have a status of a province of China. So this is an extremely important issue. It assumes huge importance, particularly about 2 decades back when Taiwan wanted to be a member of the UN in 2007. And thereafter, in the last 1 decade, we have seen Taiwan trying to be participating in various UN organizations. So that makes it quite sensitive from Chinese perspective. Bangladesh has been quite resolute in articulating its support for China in this important area by simply saying that any form of Chinese independence, Bangladesh will oppose. This is very significant, and it will also support efforts of the Chinese government in achieving national reunification. Now, this demands a little clarification as to when you support efforts of the Chinese government in national reunification, it is unqualified support, whether it is support through peaceful means or resorting to any force. So it is extremely, extremely important that Bangladesh has decided to support any Chinese government initiative towards national reconciliation. As far as Bangladesh's expectation, particularly from people's expectation point of view is concerned, that the Rohingya issue is mentioned, but it is only limited to facilitating the process of friendly consultation. We know in the last 6-7 years, this bilateral process that China was trying to promote has not given us anything concrete. So if it continues with that level of support, I think it is, I would say, a dereliction of responsibility on part of everybody for these people who are suffering from genocidal activity from the Myanmar authorities. Now, here, Bangladesh certainly expected a little bit more bold and unqualified support as Bangladesh supported in case of the Taiwan. The reality is on the ground that Arakan Army has become the de facto authority. Now, the challenge for everybody is to how to bring Arakan Army into the equation. Now, it is only the Chinese who can bring some influence on the table to bring Arakan Army, the Rohingya, and then the Tatmadaw and the Myanmar authorities, Bangladesh, into one table and try to find a durable mechanisms to find solutions, durable solutions to this protracted problem. Now, without that, the facilitation will certainly not be very productive. Now, with that, let me try to also make some interpretation as to what happened during this visit. In the media, there are actually 2 kind of projection. One, somebody is saying that it is a change of direction from Bangladesh, and the others are saying that it is actually balancing the tilt. So we will examine as to which one or which way we are actually going. Now, we know that the joint communique has focused on the pragmatic cooperation on areas that we already know. Now, their expectation is that the Bangladesh will not be overwhelmed by ideological considerations, and we will seek complementarities and mutual benefits through whatever we do with China. The important decision of joining the community with a shared future. It is, again, something that is not very clearly understood by everybody because things are still evolving. But if you carefully look at the principles behind this community to build partnership based on equality, fair and shared security, environment, mother nature, inclusive development, etc. So in all these, nobody can see anything specific related to strategic competition. So this is something that we have to note. Now, we have also seen there are some questions and lack of clarity on many of these issues, but we have noted that in ASEAN countries, except for a few, Philippines, Brunei, and Singapore, all are associated with this concept of community. Similarly, we have seen that it is gaining traction outside the region too. Now, if we note that there was an MOU signed on the JDI, among the 4 initiatives, only in case of the development initiative, there has been an MOU. So let's have a little bit clarity as to what it entails. Now, this GDI is again focused on poverty alleviation, food security, agriculture, health, education, disaster management, climate change, etc. So there is no mention of any defense and security on this particular initiative that Bangladesh is going to associate with under this MOU on GDI. As a framework, this will, that the MOU has, the way it is drafted, will provide access to grant, interest-free loans, concessional loans, and in particular, access to Global Development and South-South Cooperation Fund of China that was mooted about a decade back, and it has got a kitty of $4 billion US. So access to this Chinese mechanism is important for Bangladesh. So in a way, Bangladesh will remain a friend of the GDI. And as you know, GDI is fully aligned with the SDGs. And so from that point of view, there is little confusion that we can create out of this. Looking at the financing and cooperation related framework, we have a concessional loan of about 350 million US, and for Mongla Port expansion and modernization. It will be for 20 years with a 5-year grace period, and interest is something about 2%, which is quite good. But the actual quantum of this will be determined after the feasibility, and a supplementary loan agreement will be drafted and concluded thereafter. Similarly, in the same Mongla area, Mongla Port economic area, where 110 acres of land will be provided on a 50-year lease to China. And again, the actual extent of the project will be known after the feasibility is done. Now, the MOU on vocational education is very significant in the context of Bangladesh's need for skill upgradation, curriculum development, quality assurance, digital education, nursing, medical services are the areas of focus. So in a way, Bangladesh labor force needs this kind of a support as they try to upskill and go to the next level of industrial transformation. So that is very important, and Bangladesh should take full advantage of it. And with that, this China-Bangladesh, I would say, joint activities is now taking the interest of the people directly. So that is what was missing in the earlier time. It was Chinese projects are more focused on the mega projects and big events, and not touching the issues of the people in general. So now on the possible way forward, we have the various challenges and imponderables. And to begin with, because this has generated a lot of attention and traction, the BCM corridor, the idea that is mooted by China. Now we know that we were considering another initiative called BCIM about 2 decades. And now because of indifference from India and somewhat stonewalling from India, this BCIM actually collapsed. Now, this BCIM collapsed cannot be accepted as the solution. So there was an consideration from both sides in Bangladesh and also from China as to how to make sub-regional cooperation feasible in that context. Now, this is certainly, as a corridor, is a good theme. It certainly is an aspiration. but there are practical difficulties within Myanmar and also elsewhere that we will discuss. On any project of this sort, you must have growth centers so that people can benefit from this. Without growth centers aligned to this, only focusing on trade, I think, and connectivity will not work. So it has to have people's connectivity addressed with this. Another option that might be considered with this is a power grid connectivity from China to Bangladesh. But given the terrain that we have in between, I think it is also going to be quite challenging for terrain as well as for instability coming from insurgent other military activities. So now if we just look at this map, you will see the old BCIM concept from Mandalay going to northeast of India, from Tamu, and then thereafter coming to Dhaka and connecting Kolkata. So in that area, in the Sagain part of Myanmar, it is extremely unstable. And in the Indian part also, in Manipur and the adjoining areas of Nagaland and Assam, things are not stable. We cannot expect that these will be stable in the next few decades. So it makes it extremely challenging for all these countries to operationalize BCIM, no matter how feasible it is. Because of the insecurity, it will be an instability, it will remain a problem. As opposed to that, the new concept of BCM will avoid that uncertainty and instability in the northeast of India. So we can come directly from Mandalay to Chokyu, and thereafter, then the connectivity can be with Bangladesh, avoiding the middle and northern part of Rakhine. Because the problem is in the northern part of Rakhine, where the Rohingya problem is not going to be resolved very soon. So that makes the BCM, I think, a much better proposition than BCIM. Now, looking at the decision that was taken to explore newer options for connectivity, newer options, meaning we're not talking about the old options under BCIM. We're talking about new options. In the new options, the idea is, if you look at the technicalities of it, if you see from the map here, in the Chinese side, from Hong Kong and Parlival Delta, a ship will take about 7 days if there is no transshipment, no port of call in between. So direct connectivity. For Fujian coast, 9 days. For Yangtze River Delta coast around Shanghai, it will take about 14 days. And if it's in Tianjin and Qingdao area, it is about 15 days for direct connectivity. If there is a transshipment in between or port of call, then you can add another 5 to 7 days. So it involves a lot of time. But if you can connect from Kunming, then in the neighborhood, there are other major growth centers and cities and provinces are there. These inner provinces with cities like Chengdu, Chongqing, Guiyang, Xi'an, they can actually come into play, and we can anticipate that at least 1/5 or 1/4 of Bangladesh-China trade could come from there and channel through this corridor that we are talking about. So with that understanding, let us just come to the closing part and the way forward. On the challenges and imponderables, we know about the 2+2 mechanisms. This is a very common thing, and some people try to make it a very big issue, new issue, but it is something in practice for many of the countries. Even with China, with the neighborhood, with Vietnam, with Malaysia, with Cambodia, this 2+2 mechanism is there. In case of Vietnam, it is again 3+3, including national security related issues and the borders related issues too. Now, it certainly doesn't signify any kind of a bandwagoning. It only will allow a greater understanding of issues and the challenges, and that will, in a way, create convergences and remove irritants. So, in a way, through this mechanism, we can save huge defense expenditure and investment and take the advantages of blue economy and even consider maritime domain awareness in our adjoining sea, our Indian Ocean region. In the Indian Ocean region, countries like Australia, Indonesia, Thailand, Bangladesh, all can come together and play a role, and where China can also be a player. So at a longer time, India certainly being part of this Indian Ocean will be an important player. So we can have all those, we can keep those possibilities in mind while we try to analyze this. There is certainly, as I said, a tendency to overanalyze and overinterpret things. Here, we also try to do that. Often we see media reports saying that this is taking a particular direction, but we have to be cognizant of the fact that Bangladesh is trying to develop in the contacts, networks with many countries. And in that context, the network deficit that Bangladesh has been facing for last all these 5 decades is a serious issue, serious bottlenecks for Bangladesh. In any field that we talk about, we suffer from network deficit. So it's good that Bangladesh is trying to have networking with all partners, including US. With US, we have on the military information, GSOMIA, on AXA, we are in the advanced stage. So that will also create a network connection with US. With 2+2 with Turkey and connections with in Pakistan, this all actually make things more balanced. So that will, in a way, address overdependence on any stakeholder. We had overdependence on one party in the last decade. I think this will certainly help Bangladesh to address that to a great extent. So, but one thing that we must also understand that China is a legitimate stakeholder in Indian Ocean, particularly Northeast Indian Ocean in Bay of Bengal. So for its energy security, for container cargo, for anything that we talk about, they are the biggest user of the services in the Indian Ocean. So it cannot be considered an outside stakeholder. It is a resident stakeholder in that sense. So we must give due importance to the legitimate interest of China in this. So now, a little bit on the Tista project. I talked about this lack of clarity here. Flood protection wise, it is, I think it will be a easier project to conceive and deliver, but technicalities will be less. But if it is conceived also as an irrigation project having dams and storing water, then the terrain is such that there is no space for building these dams. Then you have to think about outside Bangladesh. And if you think about outside Bangladesh, you will note right at the moment in Sikkim area and also in the upstream of Tista, there are existing 10+ water infrastructures in that area. So now, when India was developing all this, they never sought permission or consultation with Bangladesh. So that Indian sensitivity, I think, is not founded because they were not taking Bangladesh's concern while they were building it. But while Bangladesh is trying to conceive something, there's a lot of hue and cry, which is actually not correct. So the effectiveness of this water development project as a reservoir is something that the feasibility would bring out. But I think, as somebody having a good understanding of that area, because I hail from that area, I think there is no other option other than taking the entire catchment area together. Mahananda to the west, Koratwa, Tista, Torsha, Dhorla, and Dudkumar. If all these could be seen together in one bunch under a river basin project and allowing all stakeholders to come and play a role, including India and China, I think perhaps that could be a better solution, and that will perhaps be something durable in the longer term. Now, ending this presentation, let me talk about the priorities and possible future focus. This time, unlike in the past, I think the Chinese have come and laying a lot of focus on education, training, health, hospital, clinic chain, etc. This is of people's interest. They're also focusing a lot on food security, seed security, post-harvest technology. These are all mentioned in the JDI. So if Bangladesh can avail the JDI to access this support from China, that will make Chinese support more and founded on people's interest, because the people's interest is important. Otherwise, the relationship, if it is only based on quantum of dollar, billions of dollars, will not be sustainable. And then the other thing, this the people's awareness and the liking that it will create will make a new kind of a geographical identity and sense of neighborhood for China in South Asia and in Bangladesh that the Indians have been enjoying all these years. So with that kind of a understanding, let me make these closing remarks that Bangladesh, from its side, will certainly try to explore collaboration with an economic understanding and linkages with major and middle powers for sectoral benefits, not only being overwhelmed with the strategic considerations. We would like to not have any conflict with any major players on that, and we see complementarities between investment and projects of various parties, in particular in the Chittagong area, when you have the Japanese investment under Big B and the Chinese investment, which are coming in a big way. There are complementaries. We should be trying to seeking complementaries of that. So Bangladesh should try not to get into a situation of competition, focusing more on complementarities. We should be availing the networks and power in all areas: trade, economic, financial, defense, and diplomatic included. For Bangladesh, I think geoeconomics ought to be the priority, not the tensions of geopolitics. I come again here, we should be prioritizing geoeconomics, not geopolitics. And the international community must appreciate Bangladesh's desire in that aspect, and the Bangladesh-China Enhanced Trust should not be seen in any other lens other than diplomatic and sectoral collaboration, and desist from over-interpretation of Bangladesh-China relations that we are trying to make through the visit of Prime Minister Tarique Rahman. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Shobar Rahman. Very interestingly, he several times repeatedly mentioned this word that overemphasizing, overanalyzing. So I think that this is a very important aspect that, especially in the South Asian political culture, we sometimes get overwhelmed by some incidences and make some kind of the prediction and projections which are not very much realistic, and that creates unnecessary kind of alarm to many of our neighbors and other powers. Thank you very much, Ambassador Shobar, to lay the foundation for the discussion. Now we are going to, in the meantime, we have with us Mr. Li Xiaopeng from Chinese Embassy, who's representing the ambassador. As I said, that he couldn't make it to come because of the last minute some emergency meeting. So he will be representing the Chinese Embassy in this session. We are now going to have our designated discussion, lead discussion from China, Dr. Liu Zhongyi, and he will give his comments on this keynote given by Ambassador Shobar Rahman. So let me introduce a little bit about our lead discussant, Mr. Liu Zhongyi. He serves as a director of the Center for China Studies in Bangladesh and has published extensively on South Asian and global affairs, including more than 300 commentaries in Chinese and English. And his research focuses on India's economy and foreign policy, China's foreign policy, BRICS, and G20. So, Dr. Liu, over to you. And you'll get 5 to 7 minutes time, sir.
Thank you so much. I saw a lot of friends here. Assalamu alaikum, dear friends. His Excellency Dr. Titumir, His Excellency Mr. Sam, and Vice Chancellor of North-South University, Professor Chaudhuri, and Ambassador Rahman. I think it's my honor to participate in this conference. Yes, just as Ambassador Rahman said, it was an important visit for Prime Minister Rahman because it was the first major power he visited as a Prime Minister. I think through his visit, the China-Bangladesh Comprehensive Strategic Cooperative Partnership was elevated into a commitment to build a China-Bangladesh community of shared future in the new era. Since China put forward the Belt and Road Initiative in 2013, South Asian countries participating in the initiative have exhibited three patterns: Pakistan's community of shared future model, the balanced cooperation model adopted by Bangladesh at that time, and Sri Lanka, Nepal, and others, and the resistance and hedging model pursued by yet another country. China-Bangladesh BRI cooperation has now also advanced towards building a community of shared future, demonstrating the BRI's appeal among regional countries. Some Bangladeshi scholars even argue that the conditions for building such a partnership in Bangladesh are more advantageous than that in Pakistan. Assessment by prominent Bangladeshi scholars of Prime Minister Rahman's visit to China indicated that the Bangladesh side is broadly satisfied with the outcomes. The two sides also agreed to explore the establishment of a diplomatic and defense 2+2 dialogue mechanism. Is a sign that bilateral political mutual trust and strategic cooperation have reached an unprecedented level. On issues of concern to Bangladesh, including industrialization and socio-economic development, regional connectivity, and direct China-Bangladesh connectivity, integrated water resource management, and comprehensive governance of the Tisa River, the people-to-people exchanges, as well as cooperation in science, education, culture, and health. China expressed strong support. Bangladesh expressed its desire to further strengthen security and defense cooperation with China, while China stated that it would firmly support Bangladesh in safeguarding its national independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. The joint communique of the People's Republic of China and the People's Republic of Bangladesh is an important document in the history of China-Bangladesh diplomatic relations, a document of mutual commitment and a result of win-win cooperation. Of course, Bangladesh may face pressure from other major powers as a result, and voices to this effect have already appeared in some international media. We can find that. Yet, the willingness to bear such pressure in order to build a China-Bangladesh community of shared future in the new era with China precisely demonstrates that the Bangladesh Nationalist Party (BNP) government, led by Prime Minister Rahman, has made a genuine and resolute commitment to Bangladesh first, I think. This is because it understands that only with China's assistance can Bangladesh achieve industrialization and modernization. It also reflects the patriotic passion and keen awareness of global developments among Bangladesh's intellectual elites. I think all of you sitting in the conference room fully recognize the inspirational significance and practical relevance of China's path to modernization for Bangladesh and other global source countries. However, Bangladesh friends also need to recognize that China's commitments and assistance alone are not sufficient. China is the only major country to have achieved industrialization since World War II and is currently the country with the most complete and comprehensive industrial system in the world. China's industrialization was a result of a planned and methodical efforts actively driven by the Communist Party of China. First, developing major heavy industrial sectors with the assistance of the Soviet Union. Then, after reform and opening up, proactively integrating into the US-led globalization process and absorbing the transfer of global value chain, industrial chains, and supply chains. The Soviet Union and reform and opening up played an important role in China's industrialization. But neither the Soviet Union nor the United States was a decisive factor. For a country to achieve industrialization, external forces serve only as a catalyst. a nation's own efforts are the most critical factor. During his visit, Prime Minister Rahman also toured the Museum of the Communist Party of China. The CPC's long-term governance has assured prolonged social stability and policy continuity. China's five-year plans have been carried forward by successive governments for more than 70 years, adhering consistently to a single long-term blueprint. Unlike in Western countries, where changes in government bring policy reversal and a lack of continuity. As long as Bangladesh maintains long-term political stability and policy continuity, it will certainly be able to achieve industrialization and modernization. And as long as the Bangladesh government is determined to complete certain strategically significant major projects of vital national importance, such as the Tista River project, China will do its best to provide support, I think. That said, Bangladeshi friends must also recognize that pursuing industrialization and developing modern industries cannot be divorced from national realities. Aspiring only to develop advanced industries and import cutting-edge technologies without regard for the country's actual condition is inadvisable. Because what Bangladesh needs most urgently right now is to solve the employment problem for the majority of its young people. Prime Minister Rahman's first overseas visit not only demonstrates Bangladesh first, but also signals Bangladesh's diplomatic priority. South Asia regional economic integration has long been mired in stagnation. Consequently, Bangladesh will pursue a look east policy to achieve its economic development goals, strengthen cooperation with China and Myanmar, build the China-Myanmar-Bangladesh economic corridor, and establish direct connectivity with China. At the same time, Bangladesh aims to deepen cooperation with ASEAN, join the regional comprehensive economic partnership, and thus integrate into the Asia-centered production and supply chain systems. In addition, Bangladesh aspires to become a member of BRICS and SCO. This series of diplomatic designs reflects the urgent desire of Bangladesh's intellectual elite to truly recognize the dream of Bangladesh first under the leadership of Prime Minister Rahman and the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. Thank you. I stop here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Liu Zhongyi. He is also the Senior Research Fellow and Director of Center for South Asian Studies of Shanghai Institute of International Studies in China. And very intensively, he is engaged with China-Bangladesh relation studies and also South Asia-China relations. He mentioned a very important thing from the Chinese perspective, that how Chinese policymakers and the businessmen, they look into the future of the Bangladesh-China economic relation. The two terms that he used, long-term stability and policy continuity. And we do understand that from the history of China, these are the two very important issues, whether in terms of their internal policies or their relation with the external actors. Now we are going for an open discussion session and question answer. In the open discussion session, we have a designated discussant from media. And at this stage, I would like to invite Mr. Rahid Azaz, diplomatic correspondent at Prothom Alo and former president of Diplomatic Correspondent Association Bangladesh, with extensive experience covering diplomacy, geopolitics, and Bangladesh's relation with regional international partners. His perspective will be highly valuable to today's discussion. So, Mr. Azaz, I would kindly invite you, and if you can complete within 5 minutes, 5 to 6 maximum.
Thank you. Distinguished chief guest, chair, special guest, and North South University faculty, students, and medias. Thank you for arranging very timely discussion when we are discussing the outcome of the Prime Minister Tarique Rahman China visit just 1 month back in Beijing. So there is some guiding question. I don't know whether I can touch all the question by what I share my perspective being a practitioner's point of view. So if I evaluate the visit, one thing I must say that what we see is from 2009 onwards, there is a uh, policy continuation from the Beijing in regards to relationship with Bangladesh. What happened last 15 years with AL, and that was continued in the interim regime led by the Professor Yunus. And the latest one is its continued movement from Beijing to engage with Bangladesh. So how I see the visit from my perspective is that this is for the first time when we see that usually we evaluate or just the visit from the very simple lens. The lens is how many projects are announced, how many instruments, including agreements, MOU, or any sort of letter being signed, and how much money allocated or being announced. But definitely, this visit is totally different compared to previous other visit because this is for the first time we see that it was less quantifying cooperation and rather on agreements projects, and it's more and more about defining strategic direction and partnership that is in nature. So if you say that in the history of Bangladesh-China relationship, this has been in the 26th June. Only thrice the joint communique was announced after the any sort of engagement between Bangladesh and China. So it also indicates the significance of and importance of the visit. And in regards to when I say that there is a strategic direction in partnership, when we see that the joint communique outlined a broader vision of cooperation, which encompassing trade and investment, industrialization, technology, digital transformation, water resources, green development, healthcare, education, connectivity, and also more particularly common vision for common community of Bangladesh and China. So I think these are definitely different from previous visit. So when we say that we are elevating the relationship in a new phase from building infrastructure to shaping institution connectivity, economic transformation, etc. So I think there are certain questions people should ask how, from the perspective of people that will contribute a tangible relationship in coming days. So first of all, whether this visit can attract higher quality investment into manufacturing. Can Bangladesh exports gain better access as Mr. Sufir Rahman mentioned the market access from 98% to 100%. So whether Bangladesh export gain better access to Chinese market, then can cooperation generate skill employment for your Bangladeshis? Can technology partnerships strengthen our industrialization competitiveness? Can universities, research institutions, and innovation ecosystem work more closely together? And from my perspective, I think this sort of question are very pertinent in the future of relationship. As you mentioned, some guiding question, I will not touch upon all the issues due to time constraint, but precisely I want to mention one issue that is most talked about not in Bangladesh, and that is also territory beyond Bangladesh. That is the corridor, the more precisely termed out by the Chinese President Xi Jinping. When the issues of China, Myanmar, Bangladesh economic corridor comes up, there is a we see sort of tension, geopolitics, blah blah blah. But and when you, Mr. Rahman mentioned about the BCIM, I think we sometimes revisit history when we compare one projects or one initiative with other. If I remember back in October 2013, there was an intergovernmental meeting in Kunming, India were more or less decided, just walked away from the BCI initiative. And from that time onwards, informally or unofficially, China floated the idea of China, Myanmar, Bangladesh economic corridor. So what is the argument for Indian walk away from the BCI? Because we know that after the announcement of the BRI, China also mentioned there's proposed corridor in the BRI. So that time onwards, after November, if I remember rightly, November 2014, BCIM was almost dormant or non-functional. So in the context of that, I was surprised when this idea floated. People are asking whether that is open or not. China or Bangladesh are willing to engage India or not. I think since the project is floated by the Chinese President Xi Jinping, encompassing these three countries, why don't we focus on uh, engaging three countries, China, Myanmar, and Bangladesh? And we know that China and Myanmar have a economic corridor. And from Yunnan to Chokfu, there is a projects, rail projects, port connectivity, and other thing. If that is there, that could be one option, maybe the coastal shipping or lighter ship that will provide us for transportation of our goods and other thing. So since I have almost exhausted my time, I don't elaborate more. And thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to share my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Raghezaz. And you brought this very important aspect of the history that we all have to keep it in mind, that the history of BCIM is probably much older than even the other BRI corridor. It was been conceptualized in 1999 in Kunming by Professor Rehman Soban. And then when BRI started, it was being incorporated. But this was the least implemented and dormant project. And that's why I think the options are open. Like in our study also, we said that we can think about BCM plus I. Now we cannot wait for India for indefinite period of the time because Bangladesh needs connectivity, as Ambassador Shafir was also mentioning. And the other option that you rightly mentioned, that already China-Myanmar Economic Corridor, CMEC, is in a fully operation. And this Bangladesh can be added with CMEC. So we also propose that it can be CMEC plus B, that Bangladesh just need to get connected with China-Myanmar Economic Corridor through sea lane and Chittagong to Chokfu. And then, as you rightly said, that under CMEC, there is already road connectivity from Chokfu to Mandale to Kunming. So this will be more easier way, and that's the more feasible way to look into the thing. We'll go for a very quick question answer session from the floor. We can understand there is a good number of scholars and diplomats, and our faculty and students are present. Before that, I do understand our Vice Chancellor, he has just joined with us, Professor Abdul Hanan Chowdhury. He has another important meeting at the Prime Minister office, so he will have to leave. So I would request our Vice Chancellor to give his remarks before we open for the question answer. Professor Abdul Hanan Chowdhury.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. I think I'm not going to be on the subject matter, the Bangladesh-China relations, the enhanced trust and new direction. I am here to give thanks to our chief guest, the Honorable Advisor, Dr. Rashed Titumir. He is with us. And also our guest from the Foreign Ministry, His Excellency Mr. Asad Alom, CM, along with all these team guests, those who have actually been here for last 1 hour. I myself is actually very busy today. I had to come from another program over here just to say a few words on this occasion about the China-Bangladesh relationship. To me, I think it has been consistently going on the upward direction, the relationship between China and Bangladesh. We have seen over the 50 years of our diplomatic relationship, China has been consistent in terms of strengthening the relationship with us. And to some extent, this time the Prime Minister's visit, is actually that is ensured to some extent some of the trust that we want to build between Bangladesh and China. We do know that there are trade deficit deficit between China and Bangladesh in many senses, but we also understand the dynamics of Bangladesh, what they can provide in terms of transshipping or actually sending our products to China. We have to, of course, we have to focus on even our export basket in China, which we can always think of. But we are pretty much interested in Chinese investment in our country, which is going to be able to help us in terms of our industrial landscape that we all talk about all the time, most of the time with advanced technology and others. I think China is our very close country in that relation. We would be benefiting from them if we give them access. Apart from that, I, being as an academic, I also see that there are huge potential between China and Bangladesh in regards to our academic collaborations. I think some of you already emphasize on, Chinese knowledge, technology, and also collaborations with the universities and other institutions are truly very important for us. Recently, one of our visits to China, I think President Xi Jinping, he has also emphasized that he's going to give support to Bangladesh in terms of skills matter. We being at North-South University, we are also pioneer in terms of that we got the, initial letter, and we sent back through the Ministry of Education about the Luban workshop that President Xi Jinping has, emphasized. I think if we can get and bring sort of skills matter also along with other, things in the campus, that will help enormously, I would say, that giving or enriching our young potential youths who are going to get huge, boost in terms of placing them to the Chinese industries and also industries across the world, because that is what is very important. Apart from that, also we are in touch with two Chinese universities. We are actually trying to get the AI in Health Lab and AI lab in general over here at North-South University. Many of you know that through Chinese collaborations, at this moment, we can claim that many support that we have been able to get through our SIPG and others. We did a survey or a feasibility study about the China-Bangladesh corridor possibilities in regards to the transportation and transshipment issues. And we are we have given the recommendation in regards to optimizing the benefit of transportation and transshipment of the product and goods, coming and going from Bangladesh to China, or, via Myanmar. All those feasibility has been done very, I would say academically, and I'm sure that the current government is also very enthusiastic about the corridor that we would like to see in the upcoming years, that will also facilitate many support for Bangladeshi, businesses, Bangladesh's trade, and other opportunities. But above everything, we would love to see that more and more Chinese funding, investment over here in our country. They have been actually a proven, partner in terms of our mega projects, the big projects over here. And that's what is one of the key things for development of our country. So let us continue that relationship. And I'm sure that this government is going to give those priority. We know that there are challenges when it comes in terms of the geopolitical and other issues. There are challenges in between, among the countries in our neighborhood and also West sometime and often, but we have to also balance everything and then go forward. So with all this, I would say that I'm very humbled today. The chief guest, Dr. Titumir, he has been actually very close to North-South University, but we are very happy to have him today as an advisor over here at North-South, and also foreign secretary who has given his valuable time at North-South University. And also all these esteemed guests, those who come from outside. I have to actually rush for another panel discussion, which Prime Minister actually inaugurated his, seminar, conference yesterday. I'm heavily engaged for semiconductor and other technology global partnerships over there. So I'm scheduled for a session at 1 o'clock. So I apologize again with the esteemed guest. I have to go there, but you all remain over here. Let this conversation brings many more benefits for our country. We are hoping that this session will actually put some of the policy making guidance for the government to take forward the initiatives between China and also Bangladesh. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chancellor. And we'll now go to the floor and we'll take few questions or comments. Before we have another journalist with us, Sharia Zaman. May I start with you and with maybe with 2 minutes here, if you just very quickly give your comments.
Thank you very much. Let me thank North-South University and SIPG for inviting me and allow me to talk here. I'll be very brief. Now we are talking about Bangladesh-China relationship that is essentially bilateral in nature, but I want to expand the horizon a little bit. Assume a house where you have sophisticated electronic gadgets and other things, but if the neighborhood has a power outage problem, then will the electricity fails, then the function of the house, will it work properly? Certainly not. It is also applicable to foreign relations also. We are talking about the bilateral relationship, but bilateral relationship works not in isolation, not in vacuum, but there is a broader environment where it operates. There are regional things, there are global things. So when you talk about the bilateral relationships, no matter how strong it is, will not work properly or effectively unless there is a regional stability, there is peace and prosperity in the whole region and also in the globe. Think about, we are talking about Chinese investment. When you talk about the Chinese investment, assume there is a set up a factory in Chittagong. They produce goods, but if those goods needs electricity, so the Strait of Hormuz is closed, so there is no oil coming in Bangladesh. Assume. So there is no point of setting a factory in the Chittagong zone, no matter how the bilateral relationship is strong. But if the external environment, the geopolitical things, those are not suitable for a healthy bilateral relationship, it will not function properly. In that context, I want to talk about the region Rohingya crisis also. It is now becoming a regional threat. Anytime it can explode, we fear that. China is a big power, is a big influence they have. And also Bangladesh is a middle power, and they are always punched above their weights. After 8 years of independence, we become a permanent member of United Nations Security Council. And here, 2 days back, we became the president of United Nations General Assembly for the next year. In both the cases, China played a very important role and extended support to us. It shows that Bangladesh and China can play or work together in the multilateral diplomacy also. Of course, both the countries can contribute to the regional peace, prosperity, and stability, to ensure peace, prosperity, and stability in the region. But if there is a synergy effect, then probably the impact will be much higher. So, for example, if both the countries can work together in resolving the Rohingya crisis, now what Ambassador Sufi Rahman said, they are more of playing a role of facilitating. If the role is a little bit elevated to conciliatory, then maybe it will be more effective. In that context, not only in the Rohingya crisis, there are many other regional crises also, on the global crisis also. In all cases, Bangladesh and China can play an effective role together to resolve those crises. In my opinion, of course, it is a new chapter. The Prime Minister has just recently visited China. Of course, we open up a new chapter. But in my opinion, in the future, when we assess the relationship in the future, probably we will not only, the relationship will not only measured by the bilateral relationship, also how these two countries work together to resolve the regional crisis. That will be also taken into consideration in the future when we assess the relationship in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think Mr. Sharia Zaman has pointed out a very important issue. One is this energy issue, and that's why it is also now been in discussion that BCM corridor, whether it can also be used as a BCM energy corridor also, that whether Bangladesh can get help from China and Myanmar for solving the energy problem. And the Chinese role in the peace building is, you rightly mentioned, China is playing that role in the Middle East. China played a mediating role for Iran and Saudi Arabia. So we have seen that kind of role. So why not the Chinese more active role for peace building in Rakhine State? So that is a very well expected kind of aspiration from the Bangladesh side. So now we are just opening floor for questions and comments. But yeah, Dr. Norman Swazo from North-South University.
Good day. Thank you very much. I'm Norm Swazo, Director of the Office of Research and Professor of Philosophy here at North-South University. My question is for Ambassador Rahman. You made a distinction between geopolitics and geoeconomics and seem to prefer the latter. Is it the case that we can really count on that kind of distinction in practice?
Okay. Any other question, comments? You can raise your hand and introduce yourself. Yes, please. Please introduce yourself also.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm a retired military officer. I retired in the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. And currently, I'm the General Secretary of We Speak Chinese Club. I take pride in speaking that I'm a student of learning China and matters related to China and Chinese language since 1988. Here in this August gathering, I would like to inform one very vital information, and that information is especially related to Bangladesh side. Today, our former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia is no more with us. It was 2002, January, the Chinese premier visited Bangladesh. There were all formal meetings. At the state guest house, I was in between two as an interpreter. And I may quote with authority, and I am the authority, that our Prime Minister raised or requested only one point in the entire state dinner, and that was related to how to reduce the trade imbalance. And what Premier of China, Mr. Chu Rongqi, replied was very excellent, and it marked in my whole life. And at business level, I always used to say, he said, yes, we are very, very positive, and we are continuously increasing the percentage of products, tariff-free products. It went up to 98%, and from there, this time, 100%. The question is, it had been increasing, but has our export increased that much? The answer is no. What Prime Minister requested, the Chinese Premier requested or told our Prime Minister that we are very much eager to take product from Bangladesh, but Bangladesh side should consider who are the consumers. It is Chinese people are the consumer, not the government.
Okay. I think we
Sir,
understand the question.
Now, he suggested that Bangladesh should take appropriate initiative to produce products which may be liked by Chinese people.
Okay.
And our Prime Minister in reply said that we urge the Chinese government should encourage more and more Chinese entrepreneurs to come in Bangladesh so that they can produce the products according to the suitability of their consumers. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a very important point of the trade imbalance and efficiency. Any other question or comments from the students, faculty member, the guests, or the journalists? Dr. Halim. Okay. From any of our students here or faculties? Yeah. Dr. Abdul Khan. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Abdul Khan, Treasurer of the North-South University. Dear chief guest, special guests, as well as our visitors. It's very interesting session. I'm aware of the policy discussion that SIPC has been continuing. And it's a kind of follow-up of that is coming out. So I think this will carry forward the dialogue, as well as some of the issues that Honorable Vice Chancellor also mentioned in terms of academic collaboration and raising the academic substance of collaboration between Chinese academic institutions and Bangladeshi institutions. I think that was a very important point. As far as popular dimension is concerned of this visit, a lot of popular expectations were raised in Zaptista, as well as solving the Rohingya issue. So these are issues that, in fact, we see some progress in terms of continuity, but in terms of raising the level to the strategic level, I think that probably will. But still, the discussion, the visit of the Honorable Prime Minister to China, that in fact raised expectation, and this will in fact continue in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we come to our panel now. So let us go back. So let us go to our special guest. I would like to invite Mr. Li Xiaopeng as a first speaker, as a special guest. Li Xiaopeng, he graduated from Peking University and he works at the Bureau of International Exchange and Cooperation, Ministry of Culture and Tourism of China. He previously served at the Chinese embassies in DPRK and the Republic of Korea. In 2024, he was appointed as a cultural counselor of the Chinese embassy in Bangladesh. So over to you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. Honorable Chief Guest, His Excellency Dr. Rashed Al Mahmud Titumir, Honorable Advisor to the Prime Minister, His Excellency Mr. Asad Alam Siam, Honorable Foreign Secretary of Bangladesh, and dear Chairman and Vice Chancellor of the North-South University, and dear Moderator Professor Tawfiq, and Shobar Rahman, Senior Research Fellow, and Mr. Liu Zhongyi, the Director of the South Asia Studies Center in Shanghai. Dear experts and scholars, ladies and gentlemen, and a lot of our colleagues from different countries, good afternoon. I'm glad and honored to attend this seminar titled Bangladesh-China Relations, Enhance the Trust and the New Direction, hosted by the SIPG. So our Ambassador Yao Wen is very important to see this seminar, but he have an important meeting, so send me to join this here. Entrusted by the Ambassador Yao Wen, I offer warm congratulations on the opening of this forum seminar, and I also send sincere greetings to all friends who have long supported Bangladesh-China friendship. Not long ago, the Honorable Prime Minister Tarique Rahman paid a successful visit to China. President Xi Jinping met with Prime Minister Tarique Rahman. The two sides announced the building of a China-Bangladesh community with a shared future in the new era, opening a new chapter for bilateral relations. This high-level visit helped our relations achieve stronger political mutual trust, deeper practical cooperation, and more effective international coordination. Our two countries aim to realize modernization together. We are driven by shared development. We take shared governance as our responsibility, and connected each other through exchanges between civilizations. We work hands in hand for a shared future. I would like to share three viewpoints with everyone. First, joint modernization is the basic driving force for growing Bangladesh-China relations. Today's Bangladesh-China partnership goes beyond ordinary bilateral friendship. It serves as a good example for developing countries to unite and march towards modernization together. President Xi Jinping has pointed out that Chinese modernization is not only for China. China hopes to work with all countries to achieve peaceful development, win-win cooperation, and common prosperity. China always links its own development with global development and connected the interests of Chinese people with the common interest of people from all countries. For this reason, China firmly supports Bangladesh to safeguard its national independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. We support Bangladesh to choose a development path suitable for its national conditions. We support Bangladesh to realize its economic and social development goals. This support comes with no political conditions. It does not seek geopolitical benefits, and it is not aimed at any third party. It is built on mutual respect, equal treatment, and win-win cooperation. At present, China is fully pushing forward Chinese modernization and building a great modern socialist country. Bangladesh is also striving to become a $1 trillion economy by 2034. Both countries see development as the foundation to solve all problems. Both governments take improving people's lives as an important goal. Both hope to strengthen independent development through opening up and cooperation. This shared development idea lays a solid political foundation for the China-Bangladesh community with a shared future in the new era, and gives our bilateral relations clear features of our time. Second, shared development brings new meaning to Bangladesh-China cooperation. If political mutual trust answers the question why we cooperate, practical cooperation answers how we realize shared development. During the high-level visit, the two sides reached many important cooperation results covering infrastructure, investment, education, human resources, and other fields. These projects belong to different sectors, yet they serve one common goal. We complement each other's strengths to achieve shared development. We improve our capacity through cooperation and continuously lift people's well-being through development. It is worth noting that Bangladesh-China cooperation expanding from single projects to regional cooperation and from bilateral links to regional connectivity. Bangladesh sits at the cross of South Asia and Southeast Asia. It is an important gateway connecting the Bay of Bengal and inland Asia. Southwest China shares mountains and rivers with Bangladesh. We have natural advantages in transport links, industrial cooperation, trade, and investment. As high-quality Belt and Road cooperation moves forward, Bangladesh-China cooperation will serve the economic and the social progress of both nations. It will further push regional connectivity, create better conditions for regional cooperation, including the China-Myanmar-Bangladesh economic corridor, and inject new energy into the integration of regional industrial supply and value chains. People matter more than infrastructure. Long-term people-to-people bonds matter more than physical connectivity. The amity between people holds the key to sound relations between states. Looking back on 50 years of Bangladesh-China ties, every major progress of our relations come with deeper mutual understanding between our peoples, wider youth exchanges, and closer education cooperation. During the recent visit, the two sides signed MOU on Chinese language education and vocational education cooperation. These documents mark new progress in educational cooperation. They also show our shared thinking on future partnership. Modernization first means the modernization of people. Regional cooperation is, in sense, cooperation between people. If we train more young talents today who know each other's language and culture, understand each other's development ideas, and have international vision, tomorrow we will have more builders, promoters, and inheritors of Bangladesh-China cooperation. In recent years, Chinese government scholarship keep benefiting young people in Bangladesh. More Bangladesh students study in China, Confucius institutes, and the Chinese language education keep growing. University links deepen, vocational cooperation expands, and the exchanges between think tanks become closer. Such cooperation may not attract public attention like large infrastructure projects, yet it continuously shapes the future of our bilateral relations. Infrastructure connects the mountains and seas. Education cooperation connects the hearts. Economic and trade cooperation brings development results for today. People-to-people exchanges create hope for tomorrow. Not only we combine physical connectivity with people-to-people connectivity and link economic cooperation with exchanges of civilizations, can the China-Bangladesh community with a shared future maintain lasting driving force. Third, shared governance, offering China and Bangladesh wisdom for world peace and development. The whole world is going through great changes and seen in a century. The international order is adjusting deeply, and global challenges keep appearing. Faced with a shortage in development, security, governance, and civilization, no single country can stay safe on its own. No country can solve global problems alone. President Xi Jinping has put forward the Global Development Initiative, Global Security Initiative, Global Civilization Initiative, and Global Governance Initiative. China hopes to work with the international community and hold real multilateralism, follow the principle of extensive consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits, stay open and inclusive, pursue win-win results, and build a more peaceful, secure, prosperous, fair, and better world. Bangladesh is an important member of a global South. China always regards Bangladesh as a key partner to strengthen unity among global South countries. Our two sides advocate openness and inclusiveness and development first, and support multilateralism. We maintain good coordination inside the United Nations and other international organizations. We share the wide common interests on climate change, poverty reduction, public health, education, and other global issues. The theme of today's seminar is enhanced trust and new direction. In my view, enhanced trust means not only deeper political trust between governments, but also deepen a better understanding between ordinary people and wider exchanges among civilizations. The new direction means more than expanding cooperation areas. It stands for our new journey to march towards modernizations side by side, push regional development together, and improve global governance jointly. Standing at this new historic start point, China is ready to work with Bangladesh, guided by important consensus reached by leaders of our two countries. We will prioritize development, pursue mutual benefit, advance the exchanges between civilizations, and uphold fairness and justice. We will continuously deepen political mutual trust, expand practical cooperation, strengthen people-to-people exchanges, and boost the international coordination. Together, we will lift the building of the China-Bangladesh community with a shared future in the new era to new heights, deliver more benefits to our peoples, and make greater contributions to regional peace, stability, and global shared development. I wish this seminar a complete success. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sir Li Xiaopeng, for a very comprehensive outlook of the bilateral relation. And as you rightly said, that no country can be safe and secure and developed alone in this current context of the global situation, when we are seeing more fragility and uncertainty and volatility in all over the world. Now I would like to go to our second special guest, the Ambassador Siam, and it is my privilege to invite him, His Excellency Mr. Asad Alom Siam, Foreign Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs. Ambassador Siam is a distinguished career diplomat who joined in Bangladesh Foreign Service in 1995 and assumed office as Foreign Secretary on 20 June 2025. Before taking up his present position, he served as Bangladesh's ambassador to the United States, Australia, and the Philippines, as well as permanent representative to the United Nations offices in Vienna and several international organizations. Your Excellency, may I now respectfully invite you to address the seminar.
Thank you. Honorable Finance and Planning Advisor, Director SIPG, Keynote Speaker, Ambassador Rahman, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to join you as this important roundtable. Today's topic, Bangladesh-China relations, enhanced trust and new directions, captures the current trajectory of our bilateral relationship. Prime Minister Tarique Rahman's recent visit to China marked an important milestone in our bilateral relationship. I would like to reflect briefly on the same. The visit marked a significant evolution of Bangladesh-China relations. The two countries agreed to elevate their bilateral relationship from a comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership to a China-Bangladesh community with a shared future in the new era. China appears to extend this designation to around 20 countries globally. Shared future in Chinese diplomatic lexicon has a special understanding. The visit also dealt with two new institutional mechanisms, including the regular foreign ministerial level meeting, which would provide greater depth to our engagement. We also signed 8 MOUs, 3 agreements, 1 protocol, and 1 joint action plan covering agriculture, trade, education, human resource development, and media cooperation during the visit. Bilaterally, President Xi Jinping's assurance that China would stand beside Bangladesh regardless of changes in the international environment conveyed a message of confidence in our partnership at a time of increasing global uncertainty. Bangladesh's foreign policy, guided by the vision of Bangladesh before all, rests on 3 enduring principles: sovereign independence, balanced engagement, and the unwavering pursuit of our national interest. The China visit demonstrated this principle in practice. Bangladesh engaged with China as a confident partner, with a development vision, democratic mandate, and a clear set of asks. Our sincerity in the partnership and its transformation were noticed and recognized by the Chinese leadership. There are reflections of genuine intention of closer cooperation from both sides. Let me reflect on why I see that China is so important for Bangladesh. Most analysts would tend to look into this relationship through the geopolitical prism and explain through strategic framework. But that would be a remiss if we do not factor in the development aspect in our relationship. In recent history, it is China that has pulled out so many people out of poverty in such a short time. China is the biggest economy that has converted itself from agrarian to a manufacturing one so quickly and is now aspiring one to be a knowledge-based one. So be it agriculture, renewables, water security, transport or environment, China remains as a big example for future of Bangladesh. China is important for what we can learn from them in our own development journey. If one looks at the joint communique, you would find plenty of examples where the promised cooperation touches our development agenda. On the economic front, the visit delivered outcomes of considerable significance. The decision to align Bangladesh's 9th five-year plan with China's 15th five-year plan is important. It shifts our cooperation from a collection of individual projects to a more structured long-term development partnership, which will be incorporated in mutual planning process for better coordination. Our industrial cooperation should be perceived through the idea of the Japanese economist Kaname Akamatsu, who explained how labor-intensive industries move from high-wage to low-wage countries in East and Southeast Asia. With increasing higher wages in China, the production now needs to be relocated, and Bangladesh offers a suitable destination. The Chinese economic zone in Chittagong or Mongla, or the modernization of the Mongla Port, or proposed China-Myanmar-Bangladesh economic corridor should be viewed in this context. China is a source of raw materials, liquidity, and advanced technology. If we could relocate our much-needed backward linkage in the Chinese economic and industrial zone in Chattogram, transported through the proposed China-Myanmar-Bangladesh economic corridor, the production will be cheaper. 12 leading Chinese companies expressed commitments for investment. They promised between US $9 to $10 billion FDI. All this would directly contribute to job creation, supply chain expansion, and capacity building in Bangladesh, and finally benefit the consumers in Bangladesh and beyond. On the sidelines, the ruling parties of the two countries signed a memorandum of understanding. This represents the development of broader political linkages that complement state-to-state relation and contribute to their long-term stability. Also, China's support for Bangladesh aspirations regarding her membership in BRICS, SCO partner status, and eventual accession to RCEP strengthens our engagement with emerging regional and global economic landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to translate this momentum into fruition. For that, we need to be mindful of two things. First, implementation. A successful visit is the beginning, not the end. Turning investment intent into actual projects will require sustained follow-up, regulatory preparedness, efficient implementation mechanism, and strong institutional accountability. Second, huge trade imbalance. Bangladesh currently imports over US 23 billion from China while exporting less than $1 billion. China's offer of zero tariff market access presents an important opportunity. We need to strengthen our export competitiveness in sectors where Bangladesh enjoys genuine competitive advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, The visit has set a high benchmark. The agreements are ambitious. The political understanding has been refreshed. The economic opportunities are substantial. Our task now is to translate these achievements into tangible outcomes for the people of Bangladesh. Together with our colleagues, both in public and private sector, we are ready to do so. Here, we would like to reflect that we are clear in our intent. That is to improve the livelihood of our people through international relations and interactions. We engage with China because doing so advances our people's life, our national interest. We engage with every other partner precisely for the same reasons. Our objective is to expand beneficial partnership, diversify opportunities, strengthen our strategic autonomy, and pursue our development objectives. For that, we are ready to partner with everyone. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your very insightful remarks and valuable perspective. As you rightly said, that this kind of the high-level visits usually creates lots of enthusiasm and hope, but the most important part is to convert the intent into implementation, as you rightly said, and also agreement into action. And that's the area where both the countries, and especially Bangladesh part, we need to now look into that, not the documents, but the actions and implementations. At this stage, before we go to our chief guest, I would like to invite one of our another special guest, Mr. Benazir Ahmed, former BOT chairman and current member of the Board of Trustees of North-South University, and also former president of Dhaka Chamber of Commerce. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Tawfiq M. Haq, our SIPC Director of North-South University. SIPC is a South Asian Institute of Policy and Governance Institute, which is run by the North-South University more than a decade. And we are organizing this sort of dialogue, keeping our national interest among our regional countries. Today, you have nicely given one special agenda: Bangladesh-China relation, enhance trust and new directions. Honorable Chief Guest, the advisor for planning and finance of Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Rashed Al Mahmud Titumir, Excellency Foreign Secretary Rashed Al Siam, the representative from Chinese Embassy, Mr. Li Xiaopeng, Cultural Counselor, Chinese Embassy, Bangladesh. Our today's keynote speaker, Muhammad Shafiur Rahman of SIPG North-South University. Our Vice Chancellor, who already left for another program, Professor Abdul Hannan Chaudhry. Distinguished diplomats, respected business leaders, eminent academics, honored guests, dear faculty members, representative from media, my dear beloved students, Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. It is both an honor and a privilege to be with you today at this important strategic seminar on Bangladesh-China bilateral relation, business, connectivity, and shared prosperity. I must thank SIPG North-South University for timely organizing such a wonderful roundtable. At the outset, I warmly welcome our distinguished guest. Your presence today reflects not only the importance of this seminar, but also the growing significance of the partnership between Bangladesh and China. thanks to the keynote speaker, Ambassador Safir Rahman, for nice presentation of your keynote paper. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an old saying, friendship builds trust. Trust creates opportunity, and opportunity shapes the future. In many ways, this simple thought captures the journey of Bangladesh and China. Our two nations have traveled together with mutual respect, mutual confidence, and shared commitment to development. Today, this relation extends far beyond diplomacy. It encompasses trade, investment, infrastructure, technology, education, healthcare, agriculture, renewable energy, and cultural exchange. The world around us is changing at an extraordinary pace. The global economy is being transformed by artificial intelligences, digital innovation, green technologies, and new supply chain. In this rapidly changing world, no nation succeeded in isolation. Partnership in their new strength. Collaboration is the new currency of progress. Bangladesh has emerged as one of the Asian fastest growing economy, with over 180 million hardworking people, a vibrant private sector, a strategic geographical location, and an energetic young population. Bangladesh is no longer viewed simply as a market. Bangladesh is strategically recognized as a partner in innovation, manufacturing, and regional growth. As the former president of Dhaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I was also the director of Federation Chamber of Commerce, the vice president of BGMEA, the life member of SAARC Chamber of Commerce. I have always believed that the business is much more than buying and selling. Business creates job. Business creates confidence. Business builds bridges where politics alone something cannot. Economic cooperation between Bangladesh and China has already contributed significantly to our development. At this moment, Bangladesh is importing almost $20 billion from China, whereas Bangladesh export to China is only $750 million, not even $1 billion. So we are far behind in our business, making a big trade deficit. How we can make it narrow down? There are some options, I think, that needs to be discussed in detail, but I can suggest the Chinese investors, your lot of sunset industry, you can relocate in Bangladesh. At the same time, there are some industries where labor intensive. Because of our labor is bit quietly cheaper than Chinese labor, you can get some benefit. At the same time, Bangladesh as a member of, we are undergoing the LDC graduation. So we have still some years we'll getting the benefits from duty-free access to European Union, Australia, Japan. So you will get some benefit here also. So I think this is the good place. You can relocate your sunset industries, labor-intensive industries, getting some tariff benefit from Bangladesh. And you know, the US tariff for the Chinese product is very high now, but still Bangladesh is in a better position. So if you relocate, you can get some benefit. I can remember my early stage of my business when I was in 1982, I started my export-oriented garment industry. At that time, the Korean people were investing in Bangladesh because our labor was cheap, and sometimes they were getting some benefit for export also. So I think China, they have a lot of opportunity. The investors should come Bangladesh so that we can make our trade deficit also. The next generation of cooperation should focus on high-value manufacturing, artificial intelligences and digital transformation, semiconductor and advanced technology partnership, renewable energy and climate resilience, smart cities and modern logistics, biotechnology and pharmaceuticals, agriculture and innovation and food security, higher education, research and innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, universities have a unique opportunity. A university is not only mere a place where degrees are awarded. A university is where ideas are born, where innovations begin, where tomorrow's leaders are shaped. North-South University has proudly demonstrated this vision for more than 3 decades. We have consistently encouraged academic excellence, international collaboration, entrepreneurship, and research. And that's why today the North-South University ranked as the #1 private university in Bangladesh and jointly public and private university as #1. Today's seminar perfectly reflects that mission. To our students, let me say this: the future belongs not simply to those who seek employment. The future belongs to those who create opportunities for others. Ladies and gentlemen, history teaches us that strongest nations are not those with the largest armies. There are those that invest in education, innovation, trust, and partnership. When government work together, when business invest with confidence, when universities collaborate in research, when young people exchange ideas, the result is not merely economic growth. The result is lasting friendship, shared prosperity. As we look forward, the future, the Bangladesh and China continue to depend cooperation based on mutual respect, mutual benefit, and a shared vision for sustainable development. Let this partnership become a model of how two friendly nations can work together for peace, prosperity, and human progress. Before I conclude, I sincerely congratulate North-South University for organizing such a timely and meaningful seminar. Professor Tawfiq, thank you so much. Bringing together policymakers, diplomats, business leaders, and scholars under one roof reflects the true spirit of intellectual leadership. Allow me to conclude with the timeless word of the Chinese philosopher Confucius. You know, we have a Confucius Institute at our North-South University, and when I was chairman in 2006, that time it was established. It is more than 20 years, and this Confucius Institute, there are more than 500 Confucius Institutes all over the world, but our Confucius Institute became #1 in the world in 2017 in China in their annual conference. So I congratulate the CI for their achievements also. Allow me to conclude with the timeless words of the Chinese philosopher Confucius. The man who moved a mountain began by carrying away small stones. Every great partnership begins with dialogue. Every great achievement begins with vision. And every great future begins with the courage of work together. As a freedom fighter of Bangladesh Liberation War, I proudly thank all the participants, and especially our Honorable Chief Guest, for his kind presence. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benazir Ahmed, for a very comprehensive outlook of your understanding and also the giving the direction of the future Bangladesh-China relationship. We'll go to the chief guest, but I forgot to mention one thing. There is a question from the panel to our keynote speaker. I give 1 minute time or 1.5 probably to Shofir Bhai to give the answer to question of Professor Norman Swazo, and then we'll go to our chief.
Thank you, Professor Norman Swazo, for the most pertinent question perhaps that could come from the floor. In fact, we all know that geography, politics, and economy, there is an interplay. And in that interplay, sometimes geography and economy takes precedence, sometimes geography and politics takes precedence. In this case of geopolitics, there is a primacy towards giving importance to so-called state interests. In case of geoeconomics, it is the interest of the economy and the interest of the people that gets primacy. So the primacy was, there is a distinction between the two concepts. So now what we are seeing here in this concept, that China has developed capacity in all aspects, whether it is defense or it is social sectors, it is industry and anything. But as far as the Bangladesh's need is concerned, and the need of the people, need of the industry, need of the economy should take primacy. So if that understanding is clear, taking the advantage of China's progress, in particular, I just refer to one development. China has moved to a knowledge economy, and how and why. Most important that played role here is technology. And if you see the technological advancement that can be measured in one yardstick, in 2024, in the patent applications, more than 60% of the global patent applications came from only one country, China. And as far as the acceptance of the approval is concerned, more than 45% was accepted from China. So that means the preponderance of China in knowledge creation and technology. So for Bangladesh to move to the next level, it is the knowledge, the technology that should drive Bangladesh's effort. So it is in that context, the corridors, the BCAM corridor, it is more from the economic and people's interest point of view. So these are perfectly in line. So I think I have answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we come to the last part. I'm very honored to introduce Dr. Rashed Al Mahmud Titumir, Honorable Advisor with the status of Minister for the Ministry of Finance and Planning, Prime Minister's Office, Government of Bangladesh. Dr. Titumir is also a Professor of Economics and former Chairman of the Department of Development Studies at the University of Dhaka. His distinguished career spans academia, government, think tanks, international organizations, and the media, with a particular focus on development economics and innovative public policy solution. I'm also so happy because he's in Bangla, we say that campus at Boro Bhai. So happy to welcome him here in this campus, Titumir Bhaike. And so now, sir, over to you, Honorable Advisor and the Chief Guest.
Thank you, Professor Tawfiq. Mr. Asad Alom Siam, Foreign Secretary, Councillor Lee, Mr. Benazir Ahmed, Dr. Lee from SIIS, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure and privilege to join this distinguished gathering to exchange views on a subject of profound importance to both our countries, Bangladesh-China relations, enhanced trust, and new direction. I would like to thank South Asian Institute of Policy and Governance of North-South University for organizing this timely discussion. Bangladesh and China are linked by a relationship that has steadily evolved into one of the most important strategic partnerships in our region. Ours is a friendship rooted in mutual respect, sovereign equality, non-interference, and a shared aspiration of peace, stability, and development. China has long been a trusted friend and a valued strategic partner of Bangladesh. Bangladesh remains firmly committed to the One China principle and United Nations General Assembly Resolution 2758. This principled position has been an enduring pillar of our foreign policy and reflects our steadfast commitment to international law and the sovereignty and territorial integrity of states. Distinguished guests, I would reflect my remarks in three aspects. Let me begin as regards strategic relationship. Our bilateral relationship has reached an important milestone, as has been alluded by every speaker here. I recall with great satisfaction the highly successful visit of our Honorable Prime Minister, His Excellency Mr. Tarique Rahman, to China in June 2026. During that historic visit, our two countries elevated comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership to a China-Bangladesh community with a shared future in new era. This represents not merely a diplomatic achievement, but a shared commitment to building a future based on deeper trust, stronger cooperation, and shared prosperity. As we celebrate this new chapter, we also remember the visionary leaders who laid the foundation of our friendship. I fondly recall the historic visits of Shohid President Ziaur Rahman in 1977 and 1980, which opened the door to modern Bangladesh-China relationship. Those ties were further strengthened through the landmark visits of Prime Minister Begum Khaleda Zia, whose leadership helped broaden cooperation across multiple sectors. Today, under Prime Minister Tarique Rahman's vision of Bangladesh before all, our foreign policy remains independent, sovereign, with national interest at its core. At the same time, Bangladesh is committed to fostering mutually beneficial neighborhood diplomacy, South-South cooperation, and constructive engagement with all partners. Within this vision, China occupies a place of special importance. So, our foreign policy is primarily driven by our social, economic, and political factors. Our task is now to translate our shared vision into tangible outcomes that benefit the peoples of both countries. Bangladesh welcomes the steady progress made under the Global Development Initiative, and we appreciate President Xi Jinping's broader global initiatives. We remain ready to explore practical cooperation, wherever our interests converge and where such cooperation contributes to sustainable development and regional stability. We are also working closely to operationalize the proposed 2+2 dialogue on diplomacy and defense. And we look forward to convening the inaugural foreign minister level strategic dialogue in the near future. Such institutional mechanisms will provide strategic direction to our expanding partnership. Now let me come to the pragmatic collaboration. So we are on a convergence. China is having its 15th five-year plan, and government of Bangladesh has initiated and approved recently our 5-year strategic framework for reform and development. So there are complementarities, and this is also the 5-year which would lead to 2030 international agenda. So this is a convergence based upon which the pragmatic collaboration between China and Bangladesh has been built, where national priority is important. Both the countries have a different level of understanding on economic modernization, and both countries are trying to force that relationship based on their individual characteristics. Because there can't be a copying cat, and this is quite important. We are building our shared future based on our individual country level characteristics of our history, of our philosophy, of our understanding, and the journey each of these countries has their own way. For example, China, as someone alluded to, that has a track record of elevating poverty, but which is not really discussed is the success that has been achieved by late Begum Khaleda Zia in terms of poverty alleviation. During her period, the country witnessed highest amount of reduction in poverty at a speed and at a velocity which is not matched anywhere in the world except China. And simultaneously, we have witnessed the structural change in the economy during our period. And we have also seen how, and as the Dr. Liu was mentioning about the Chinese journey about Russia and America. And now let's really look at the journey that our Shoaib President Ziaur Rahman had embarked in terms of difficult time. Remember that period, it's a war-ravaged economy. It's a feminist-stricken economy. It was high inflation, closer to 60%, and then came oil shock. So what would a conventional economist would advise him? Go to the IMF, go for an austerity measure. Did he travel that path? No. And that's the uniqueness of Bangladesh Nationalist Party, which really looks at endogenous solution, as Dr. Liu from SIIS mentioned. It is our own journey. It is our own national interest that carves our domestic and foreign policy. So what President Jia did is look at the situation, as Chinese would say, which I can't really pronounce correctly, which is that if there is a crisis, there is an opportunity. Yes. And that's the strategic pragmatism Shoaib President Ziaur Rahman followed. And he found that there is a surplus capital and there is a surplus labor. No textbook. I have never seen, the economists are very miser in articulating these two aspects. One, that about poverty alleviation, a historic proportion achieved during Begum Khaleda Zia's time, and simultaneously the new form of trade theory between the complementarities and how do you trade between surplus capital and surplus labor. And since I'm in a university, I would really ask the faculty members to delve into these areas. These are strategic pragmatism that has been pursued by Shoaib President Ziaur Rahman and late Begum Khaleda Zia. And this is what Mr. Tarique Rahman follows their step, and Shobar Agey Bangladesh, Bangladesh before all. This is a philosophy that has been driving the government. It's because Shobar Agey Bangladesh mean সবাইকে নিয়ে বাংলাদেশ, সবার জন্য বাংলাদেশ এবং সবার আগে বাংলাদেশ. And if you really look at the Bangladesh-China, the MOU, you would see how we are looking at it. And obviously, China is pursuing its own policies, so is America. And we believe that national interest would drive our foreign policy. And that has to be done, as some people would call it, Indian politic. So we are pursuing our foreign policy based upon that. And if you really look at the relationship, what are we talking about? China has, what are the complementaries that China and Bangladesh has? It's about industrialization. And if you really look at our manifesto, which says that investment, but not investment in some other sectors, it's production-based investment. And that's a distinct model that Prime Minister Tarique Rahman is pursuing. And that is why Bangladesh-China relationship is of great importance, because China has followed a particular form of economic modernization. And what the economic modernization that began during late Begum Khaleda Zia, we want to see, because we have seen, we have inherited a dilapidated economy, we have inherited a devastated, dilapidated institutions. So we want to have a recovery, and that's why it's really important, 15th five-year plan of China and our five-year strategic framework, because that framework illustrates us in terms of phased approaches. So we have a philosophy which is Shobar Agey Bangladesh. Then we have a vision which is being laid by our Honorable Prime Minister, which is Ganotantrik Manobik Kullan Rashtra, a democratic human welfare state. And under that, we have a goal, which is to achieve a $1 trillion economy by 2034. Then we have strategic objectives outlined. And given the current context of we require recovery, then we require restoration, and then we have a reconstruction for acceleration. And that tallies with China's experience. And that's why, if I may, that we are looking for investment for industrialization. And that is why we went for China. Look at the name, China Economic and Industrialization Industrial Zone in Chittagong. And then we want to see that these investments are also, Chinese are investing in other areas, like Mongla Port, like other private economic zones. And that's what we are encouraging. And beside that, you need connectivity. And we believe in inclusivity. Look at, we want to have Chattogram as a logistic hub. And you will find from East Asia, from Middle East, from Europe, they are actively participating in that process, because we do not believe in exclusive relationship. We believe in inclusive relationship. And that is reflected in our connectivity. And that's why we would really have signed that we signed the framework agreement for Mongla Port modernization and expansion project. And now we are also discussing, look at the terrible state in terms of our rail. We are supposed to manufacture locomotives. We are supposed to have a railway track which can connect from Panchagod to the southern corner of Chattogram. These broad gauge, meter gauge should have been earlier solved. And we are looking forward G2G collaboration in terms of railway network. We would like to see speed elevated expressway between Dhaka and Chattogram. And these are really important issues that has been discussed, and these are moved and driven by our business community. And this is a demand driven. So this is where we want to see multimodal transportation network, and where they have capacity, where they have better understanding and comparative advantage, we are looking and forging relationship with China in those areas. So investment, relocation, sunset industry, or in terms of value chain, and we have to really keep in mind, we have entered, someone talked about geoeconomics and geopolitics. What has not been mentioned, we are witnessing a landscape where uncertainties have become a new normal. Because we didn't know about COVID. We didn't know about Middle East a conflict, which has costed, because our government is accountable to the tune of $3.46 billion additional amount. Because the government is accountable, and that's why government has to count that amount of cost. So what we really want to see, that our multimodal infrastructure, our investment, the modernization that has happened in China, and we want to pursue with our own characteristics, with our own ways, endogenous processes and strategies, so that the level at which we are now, imagine the private sector investment, imagine the FDI, imagine this is a state. We want to see recovery, we want to see restoration, and we want to see reconstruction. And then in that regard, this is a pragmatic collaboration between China, and we would be having collaboration with other countries. So connectivity, as everyone alluded to, remains very promising area of cooperation. Bangladesh warmly welcomes President Xi Jinping's proposal for a multimodal transport corridor linking Kunming and Chittagong, as well as continued discussion on China-Bangladesh-Myanmar economic corridor. We believe enhanced connectivity will strengthen trade, investment, tourism, and people-to-people exchanges across region. At the same time, Bangladesh remains committed to expanding high-quality Belt and Road cooperation. And quite importantly, we would really like to see the new approach that China is coming up in terms of small and beautiful livelihood projects that directly improves people's lives, particularly in transport, renewable energy, digital infrastructure, healthcare, and agriculture modernization. While bilateral trade has grown impressively to nearly USD 24 billion, our exports to China remain below 1 billion, as has been mentioned. This imbalance underscores the need for greater efforts to achieve a more balanced and sustainable trading partnership. Bangladesh hopes to maximize the opportunities created by China's duty-free and quota-free market access and diversify exports, particularly in garments, jute and jute products, leather goods, pharmaceuticals, agro products, and other value-added products. In this regard, we sincerely appreciate China's efforts to facilitate market access for Bangladeshi guava and jackfruit. We hope such initiative will continue for other promising export products. In water resources management, which China has a huge experience, because Bangladesh is faced with a serious issue, which is in some time it's too much water, sometimes too little water. And that has to be addressed. And it can't be a proxy war. That has to be addressed. Too much water, too little water. So China has a rich experience. And I have seen, the Prime Minister was presented by a book by President Xi Jinping on water governance. So in water resource management, Bangladesh attaches the highest priority to the Tista River Comprehensive Management and Restoration Project, which remains one of the most eagerly anticipated development initiatives for our people. We look forward to China's continued technical and financial support in advancing this important project. Beyond Tista, we are expanding cooperation in integrated water resource management, hydrological forecasting, flood control, river training, dredging, technology transfer, and maritime affairs. Energy security, as has been discussed here, has become a defining challenge of our time. Bangladesh sincerely appreciates China's timely support during recent energy challenges and looks forward to enhanced cooperation in renewable energy, power generation, energy efficiency, and energy management technologies. What is more important for an enduring enhanced trust is about people-to-people collaboration. And that is where we can really have the relationship, what has been achieved at this strategic level. And this is where we need to work in terms of education, in terms of culture, in terms of political parties, in terms of society, in terms of township to township, in terms of division to state, province, and so we need to really showcase that what has been achieved at this strategic level of what do we mean by shared future in a new era that can be only transformed if these are experienced by people. Ladies and gentlemen, our partnership also extends to regional peace and stability. And this is where very critical issue. In these days, multilateralism for peace and stability. That's my third point. So we need to really work towards regional peace and stability. Bangladesh deeply appreciates China's constructive engagement regarding the forcibly displaced people from Rakhine State who have taken shelter in Bangladesh. We look forward to China's continued active role in creating conditions conducive to their return and in terms of their ensuring their livelihood in Myanmar and building all those establishments so that they can repatriate very soon. Bangladesh also remains committed to revitalizing SAARC as an important platform for regional cooperation. As an observer, China's constructive support in encouraging the resumption of regular SAARC summits and meaningful regional engagement would be highly appreciated. We also would like to see that China's assistance in terms of our membership to BRICS, SCO, RCEP, and other organizations. Before I conclude, I wish to express our sincere appreciation to the government of China for its valuable support for the successful election of our Honorable Foreign Minister, His Excellency Dr. Khalilur Rahman, as President of the 81st session of the United Nations General Assembly. And we also count China's continuous support in terms of our candidature for the UN Security Council. We are confident that Bangladesh and China will continue to work closely together in advancing multilateralism, sustainable development, and international peace. আমরা বাংলাদেশে একটা মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী তার দর্শনকে সামনে নিয়ে জাতীয় স্বার্থের ভিত্তিতে পররাষ্ট্রনীতি পরিচালিত করছে। এখানে সবার আগে বাংলাদেশ, সবার জন্য বাংলাদেশ এবং সবাইকে নিয়ে বাংলাদেশ, অর্থাৎ জাতীয় স্বার্থের ভিত্তিতেই আমাদের এই অগ্রযাত্রা এবং এই যে বিশ্বাস এবং যে আস্থা যেটা শুরু হয়েছে আমাদের ঘনিষ্ঠতম আসিয়ান দেশ অর্থাৎ মালয়েশিয়া সফরের মাধ্যমে, যেখানে আপনারা লক্ষ্য করেছেন মালয়েশিয়ার প্রধানমন্ত্রী কিভাবে স্বাগত জানিয়েছেন এবং আমরা সামাজিক মাধ্যমে তা লক্ষ্য করেছি। এবং তারপরে মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী চ্যাম্পিয়ন দেশ কয়েকটি দেশকে, যেটা সামার ড্যাভোস বলা হয়, ডালিয়ানে আমন্ত্রণ জানানো হয় এবং সেখানে তিনি অংশগ্রহণ করেন এবং অংশগ্রহণ করে তার বক্তব্য উপস্থাপন করেন। তারপরে সরকারি সফর শুরু হয় এবং সরকারি সফরে আমাদের যে বাংলাদেশের অর্থাৎ বাংলাদেশের জাতীয় স্বার্থ রক্ষা করার জন্যে যে সমস্ত কৌশলগত অবস্থান, যে ধরনের প্রায়োগিক অবস্থান এবং যে বহুপাক্ষিকতার যে সমস্ত অবস্থান, সবগুলো মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী সর্বোচ্চ পর্যায়ে অর্থাৎ প্রেসিডেন্ট শি জিনপিং এর সাথে সাক্ষাতে সেগুলো বিস্তারিত আলোচনা হয়। এবং আমরা লক্ষ্য করেছি চায়নার যে মেইন স্ট্রিম মিডিয়াগুলোতে যেভাবে এই সফরকে আলোকিত করা হয়েছে এবং যেভাবে এই সফরকে হাইলাইট করা হয়েছে সেটিও প্রণিধানযোগ্য। আমরা সবচেয়ে বড় রকমের যেটা অর্জন সেটি হচ্ছে যে সর্বোচ্চ চায়নার সাথে যে কোনো দেশের দ্বিপাক্ষিক সম্পর্কের সর্বোচ্চ পর্যায়ে এই সম্পর্ক গেছে। এটি হচ্ছে নতুন দিগন্ত উন্মোচিত হয়েছে। এই নতুন দিগন্ত উন্মোচিত হয়েছে কারণ আমাদের শহীদ প্রেসিডেন্ট জিয়াউর রহমান তার যে ঐতিহাসিক সফরের মাধ্যমে আধুনিক চায়নার সাথে যে যাত্রাকাল শুরু করেছিলেন। এবং আমরা লক্ষ্য করেছি যে প্রতি অর্থনৈতিক ক্ষেত্রে জনগণ যে ধরনের স্বার্থের কথা বলেন, সেই ধরনের স্বার্থ রক্ষার্থে যে বিষয়গুলোর দিকে গুরুত্ব দেওয়া দরকার এবং সেই অনুযায়ী সমঝোতা এবং চুক্তি হওয়া দরকার, সেই ধরনের চুক্তি হয়েছে। বাংলাদেশের বর্তমান যে আমরা যে ধরনের অর্থনৈতিক উত্তরাধিকার অর্থাৎ একটা ধ্বংসপ্রাপ্ত অর্থনীতিতে আমরা পড়েছি, সেখান থেকে আমাদের পুনরুদ্ধার হওয়া দরকার এবং পুনরুদ্ধার এবং আমাদের 2034 সালের দিকে যাত্রাপথ নিশ্চিত করার জন্য আমাদের দরকার বিনিয়োগ এবং বিনিয়োগ দরকার হচ্ছে উৎপাদনে। কারণ বর্তমান যে পরিস্থিতি চলছে, যে অনিশ্চয়তার পৃথিবী আছে বা সরবরাহ শৃঙ্খল ব্যবস্থার যে ধরনের অনিশ্চয়তা আছে, সেখান থেকে একমাত্র সমাধান হচ্ছে উৎপাদনশীলতার বহুমুখীকরণ এবং বিভিন্ন দেশে আমাদের রপ্তানি বৃদ্ধিকরণ। সেটা করতে গেলে আমাদের দরকার হচ্ছে বিনিয়োগ এবং শিল্পে বিনিয়োগ। এবং চায়নার সাথে বাংলাদেশের যে সম্পর্কের নতুন অগ্রযাত্রা, সেটা বিনিয়োগের মধ্যে আছে। সেই বিনিয়োগ যেমন হচ্ছে উৎপাদনে, সেই বিনিয়োগ হচ্ছে মানব সম্পদ উন্নয়নে, সেই বিনিয়োগ হচ্ছে যে আমাদের দুই দেশের মানুষের মধ্যে আস্থা এবং অগ্রগতির ক্ষেত্রে বিনিয়োগ। এবং সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমরা লক্ষ্য করেছি যে আমাদের চট্টগ্রামে যে শিল্পাঞ্চলে আশা করছি আগামী 18 মাসের মধ্যেই এখানে উৎপাদন নিশ্চিত হবে। এটা কিন্তু আমরা মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী তাদেরকে নির্দেশ দিয়েছেন যে আগামী 18 মাসের মধ্যেই চট্টগ্রাম যে অর্থনৈতিক এবং শিল্প অঞ্চলে এটা উৎপাদন শুরু হবে। সাথে সাথে আমরা যেটা নিশ্চিত করতে চাই সেটি হচ্ছে যে মংলা বন্দরের আধুনিকায়ন এবং একই সাথে যে আসিয়ান এবং চীন, কারণ বাংলাদেশ চায়না মায়ানমার ইকোনমিক করিডোর কিন্তু এটা আসিয়ানের সাথেও সংযুক্তি, একই সঙ্গে চায়নার সাথেও সংযুক্তি, আবার একই সঙ্গে ইউরোপের সাথেও সংযুক্তি। আমরা যদি খেয়াল করি তাহলে আমাদেরকে এই বিষয় এবং সেটার একটা পর্যায় হতে পারে। প্রথম পর্যায়ে চকফুর মাধ্যমে এবং চিটাগংয়ের মধ্যে যোগাযোগ হতে পারে। এগুলো আমরা সমীক্ষা করছি, কিন্তু সবচেয়ে বড় বিষয় হচ্ছে যে জাতীয় স্বার্থ রক্ষা করার জন্য, অর্থনীতির পুনর্গঠনের জন্য এবং আমাদের মানব সম্পদ উন্নয়নের জন্য এবং পারস্পরিক সম্পর্ক এবং পররাষ্ট্রনীতির ক্ষেত্রে আবার সম্মান ফিরিয়ে আনার ক্ষেত্রে। কারণ আমরা অতীতে লক্ষ্য করেছি পতিত সরকার একটা এক্সক্লুসিভ রিলেশনের মধ্যে ছিল। আমরা ইনক্লুসিভ রিলেশনের দিকে যে নবযাত্রা শুরু হয়েছে, তার যাত্রার মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী এই মালয়েশিয়া সফরের মাধ্যমে শুরু করেছেন, তারপরে আন্তর্জাতিক সম্মেলনে গেছেন, তারপরে সরকারি সফর শুরু হয়েছে। একই সঙ্গে আমরা যেমন নেইবারহুডেও সফর করব এবং অন্যান্য জায়গাও সফরগুলো হবে, কারণ আমরা বিশ্বাস করি এবং বিশ্বাস না, আমরা কথাকে কাজে পরিণত করার জন্য আমরা মনে করি দেশীয় জাতীয় স্বার্থ রক্ষা করা যেমন সমীচীন, একই সমীচীন যেটা, কিন্তু সেটা অতীতে হয়নি। আমরা সেটা পুনরুদ্ধার করে জাতীয় স্বার্থ রক্ষার মাধ্যমেই আমাদের যেমন পররাষ্ট্রনীতি, তেমনি আমাদের অর্থনৈতিক নীতি, তেমনি আমাদের সাংস্কৃতিক নীতি, তেমনি আমাদের সমাজ চলার নীতি, এবং সেগুলো হবে দেশীয় বাস্তবতার আলোকে, দেশীয় সংস্কৃতির আলোকে, দেশীয় প্রয়োজনের আলোকে। এবং সেই অগ্রযাত্রায় শুরু হয়েছে সবার আগে বাংলাদেশ দর্শনের ভিত্তিতে, এবং তার সাথে যে ভিশন আছে, ভিশনের সাথে যে মিশনগুলো আছে এবং যে লক্ষ্য আছে এবং স্ট্র্যাটেজিক যে কৌশল আছে, সেগুলোর মাধ্যমে আমরা সেই নতুন অগ্রযাত্রার দিকে যাব, যেটা হচ্ছে বাংলাদেশের জনগণের অধিকার প্রিয় জনগণ, যারা ৭১-এ নিজেকে আত্মাহুতি দিয়েছে, শহীদি দান করেছে, একমাত্র এই অঞ্চলে যুদ্ধ করে দেশ তৈরি করেছে। আর কেউ যুদ্ধ করে দেশ তৈরি করেনি এবং বারবার আত্মাহুতি দিয়েছে, কারণ তারা পরাজিত কোনো শক্তিকে কেন আমাদেরকে এত ভাবে বিপুল ভাবে জয় করা হয়েছে, কারণ আমাদের অতীতের ইতিহাস বলে যে কোনো চ্যালেঞ্জ মোকাবেলা। আমি একটা উদাহরণ দিলাম, শহীদ প্রেসিডেন্ট জিয়া কিভাবে চ্যালেঞ্জটি মোকাবেলা করেছিলেন এবং অর্থনীতির পুনরুদ্ধার করেছিলেন, কারণ বাংলাদেশের ইতিহাসে 2% পয়েন্ট প্রবৃদ্ধি শুধু শহীদ প্রেসিডেন্ট জিয়াউর রহমানের সময় হয়েছে এবং মরহুম বেগম খালেদা জিয়ার সময় হয়েছে, আর কোনো সময় হয়নি। অন্য সময় বয়ান হয়েছে, বা এখন যেরকম আমরা লক্ষ্য করি বিভিন্ন গোত্র, তারা হচ্ছে অপতথ্য, ভুল তথ্য এবং মিথ্যা তথ্যের যে বেসাতি দিয়ে ব্যবসা করেন বিভিন্নভাবে। কিন্তু আমরা যেহেতু বিশ্বাস করি যে কাজ, এবং সেটাই হচ্ছে চীন বাংলাদেশ সম্পর্ক ভিত্তি, এবং সেই ভিত্তি সকল দেশের সাথে হবে, সেটা মধ্যপ্রাচ্যের সাথে হবে, সেটা দক্ষিণ এশিয়া হবে, সেটা আমাদের পশ্চিম এশিয়ার সাথে হবে, আমাদের পশ্চিম ইউরোপের সাথে হবে, উত্তর আমেরিকার সাথে হবে, দক্ষিণ আমেরিকার সাথে হবে, এবং আমাদের দক্ষিণ আফ্রিকার সাথে হবে, ল্যাটিন আমেরিকার সাথে হবে, ক্যারিবিয়ানের সাথে হবে। তার মানে হচ্ছে যে জাতীয় স্বার্থের এর যে সংরক্ষণ, সেটাই হচ্ছে, কারণ সেটাই মানুষের চাওয়া। মানুষের চাওয়া হচ্ছে জাতীয় স্বার্থ সংরক্ষণের মাধ্যমে তার যে ওয়েলবিং সেটা ইনশিওর করা, এবং সেটাই এখানে রিফ্লেক্টেড হয়েছে। আপনাদেরকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you very much, Dr. Rashed Al Mahmud Titumir, for a very eloquent speech. He mentioned a few things: tangible outcome, shared future based on history and culture, investment for industrialization, and definitely he mentioned that uncertainty is a new normal in the current world order. And the most important thing, in my view, that he emphasized is the national interest, and national interest. So he said that this is something which any government should follow, and this current government, they are trying to follow with any bilateral foreign relation, economic relation, or other kind of relations. Thank you very much, sir, for your very, very comprehensive and eloquent speech. We are at the end. I would like to now request Dr. Rubaiyat, the coordinator of China South Asia Center, to give a vote of thanks. And with that, we will conclude the session.
Thank you, sir. Distinguished guests, keynote speakers, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm S.M. Rubaiyat, Assistant Professor and Coordinator of China South Asia Center for Sociocultural Studies under SIPG. As we draw this inspiring seminar to a close, it is my absolute privilege and honor to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing committee. First and foremost, I'd like to express our profound gratitude to our chief guest, Dr. Rashed Al Mahmud Titumir, Honorable Advisor with the status of a minister. Sir, thank you for gracing this seminar despite your demanding schedule. Your profound insights into Bangladesh's economic alignment, regional policy, and strategic priorities have given us a valuable roadmap for understanding how enhanced trust will shape our future collaboration with China. We express our sincere thanks to our esteemed special guest, His Excellency Mr. Asad Alom Siam, Foreign Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs. Excellency, we are deeply grateful for your presence and for sharing the diplomatic vision and foreign policy perspectives that anchor Bangladesh's constructive engagement with China. I also thank Mr. Li Xiaopeng, the Cultural Counselor, Chinese Embassy in Bangladesh. Thank you, sir, for your active participation and for confirming China's continuous commitment to strengthening economic development and people-to-people ties with Bangladesh. 衷心感谢李参长对中国南亚社会研究中心长期以来的支持和帮助。谢谢。Your combined presence underscored the high significance of this dialogue. Our heartfelt thanks to our distinguished keynote speaker, discussant, and the session chair. Thank you all for taking time to share your invaluable expertise, experience, and perspectives with us. Your contributions have made this event deeply meaningful. I also thank the SIPG faculty and organizing members, our research associates, and also North-South University Management and Syndicate Board. Last but certainly not the least, a big thank to all the participants and the attendees. Your enthusiasm, active participation, and engaging questions are what truly brought this seminar to life. We thank you all once again for your time and presence. Thank you once again, everyone, for your presence and contributions. I wish you all a good afternoon. Thank you.